It's the beefiest podcast on the screen. Taibu Muad'Dib. I can't make this up. The killer cops is crying now. It's going down. Welcome to Live Your Truth. Hit it, Shay. Yeah. It's cold out here in these streets, y'all. It amazes me. How come they don't know? No one's life is the Cosby Show. Killer cops is nothing new to melanated people, bro. Not in the America that locks us up for mega bucks and legalize prostitution so the mob can get a cut. CIA agents bringing dope in from the south and spread it through the hood so we can take each other out. The sadness in the hood isn't just some recent shit. It's the same thing that you would see on a slave shit. Trauma passed through generations lead to a peculiar life. Can't believe in freedom, even if one of your parents white. I'ma do it right, cause I'm conscious and I know the way. I got roots in Africa. Pittsburgh was my birthing place. International businessman from inmate 15208. African Messiah, dog. Someone had to save the day. All you want is metaphors about the clubs and freaky whores, stacking up some paper, flashy cars, and some foreign tours. Don't you know it's what they coming after you, or all they got? It starts out with the Congress, yeah. Them the folks who scheme and plot. Once they pass the law, it's on you and I to know what's up. And since we don't, that's how they come to jails are jam-packed with us. I got my fist raised. Unity is in my heart, no matter who you are. Come and live your truth. That's how it starts. That's how it starts. The hottest intro in the game. Taibu Muad'Dib, Shay, Officer Rhodes. I'm telling you right now, it's going down. Shout out to LA Fitness and National Protective Services. It's going down, man. Shout out to all the students out there. What's up, Don Rico? It's going down, everybody. Put them on front. That's my dog, the people's choice. You get awards. You already know what it is. We gunning them down. This show has only just begun to elevate with that cold intro. The flow is hot. If you have a verse to add to this song, this intro song, you see there's beat left for you. Come on, get in where you fit in. It's Taibu Muad'Dib. We're going to bring the update on that Tyree Nichols situation and talk about a few other things that got the folks going. Yes, sir. I'm happy to bring you guys a fresh Friday sound as we continue to break it on down. So let's get right into it. If you haven't seen the latest on the Tyree Nichols case, this is what it comes down to. They got the nerve to cry. They got the nerve to act like they really didn't do nothing wrong. And I'm talking about, like, if you read the papers, they attorneys is out there like Don King, like, you know, my client is an African man in America. He's guilty until proven innocent. Like, what? I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. It's just nothing. We have to look in on this because this is going, I'm telling y'all, I covered this because this is going to affect the way policing is handled here in this country moving forward, without question. Let's go right into the screen share. I'm gonna get better at going right into my screen share for y'all, just so y'all know what it is. I thought I hit y'all missed out on the live. My bad. Y'all missed the intro. We'll try to bring that back for y'all over there on Instagram. I thought I touched the button. I was wrong. But look, all five of the cops pled not guilty. Not guilty. I mean, can you believe this? I mean, they was there when it happened. They was there when it happened. So, I mean, Now, look, I've been in that situation where, I may have been caught almost dead to wood, almost dead to rights, and was still like, okay, I can beat this case somehow on technicality. I mean, really, there's millions of men right now in the system right now that was trying to get the best plea they could, when all the evidence come in, or take it to trial and roll the dice, right? I've been on this podcast under a different name, and I said that that's one way we're going to bust this system wide open is for everybody inside to cut it and go to trial, because that way they'll have to reach out for a different jury pool. And then hopefully by then, the European power structure won't have the minds of the Europeans or us, and we'll be able to see that it's really slavery, right? We'll be able to see that the over policing of African people, because of if we say the prisons and jails and the system is crowded and we know we're being over policed, can you imagine if they policed Europeans the same way? So they can't do that, right? Because if they do that, who's going to be? We just don't have enough police force to police Europeans and African people the same way, unless they lighten up on us. We really don't have the option to do that. All right. So let me be clear about one thing. When you plead not guilty, it doesn't mean that you're not guilty. All right. It means that you want to see whatever you can do within the legal system loopholes. There are plenty of them, more for Europeans than there are for African people. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, there are loopholes. Also, are we looking at the 4 men whose wives wasn't being slept with by this young man, you know what I'm saying, turning on the guy who was going through extramarital situations? I don't know. But this stinks, right? I mean, what if the only way these African men can get the kind of sentences we see European cops get, what if the only way that can happen is if they all blame somebody else in the clique, right? If they all turn on each other and be like, man, he told me this was going to happen if this happened. Well, who was the officer in charge? Well, he said that this would happen, and, if we didn't do this, well, what did you think? Well, look, I was just supporting my junior officer. He made the arrest. You know what I'm saying? If they all make it seem like they were being brought into something that was righteous under the badge, what are we to do? Now, it's also a unique situation because their jury will probably be all European, right? The grand jury probably was, even in Memphis, right? We have these predominantly African cities and areas, but when it goes to the jury pool, it's usually them, not us. So let's think, you have to look at all the different angles. But look, without further ado, let's dig off into the story. This is what's being reported. Now, we can only trust so much of the European power structures reporting, but Adrian Florido says, the 5 foreign police officers accused of the death of Tyree Nichols, a 29-year-old black man pulled from his car during a traffic stop last month and then brutally beaten, pleaded not guilty today during their first court appearance in Memphis. Now, if you knew nothing else, you would know right away. Don Rico, everybody. The people's choice. If you knew nothing about this case, that in and of itself has to seem a little bit strange, doesn't it? Look at how the man brings it in. This is a smart reporter. He says, the 5 former police officers, so they're just like you and me now. They're not police officers anymore. Y'all see how that happened? If you look at every case that didn't involve African men as police officers, they were still mostly police officers, right? They were still basically, okay, it's tough to, this one right here, but the story's already fired. So now they're former police officers. So now we're not going to connect these men to the badge at all. Accused in the death of a 29-year-old, let's forget his ethnicity, for right now, a 29-year-old man pulled from his car during a traffic stop and then brutally beaten, right? The death came from a brutal beating from former police officers. So were they former police officers when they brutally beat the man to death? You see how the propaganda and the wordplay is happening here? Very good reporting from this, young man who works for who? The European power structure. The suspects, and they give these crazy names, were arrested and indicted last month on felony charges. Okay. All 5 men have been free on bond. Now, isn't that strange? I mean, where's the $1 million bond? Because these is cops, Scorpion Unit or not, they didn't have, all 5 of them didn't have, their people didn't have $1 million a piece to get them out. Where's the $1 million bail when we see somebody kill somebody? Why are they not a flight risk? Look at their charges. 2nd-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping. Why would you if you're a judge, let someone on the street that kidnaps somebody? That has to be taking somebody against their will. That has to be one charge that probably should be pretty hard to get bail on, right? Let's just be honest. They're all 5 are free on bond, and they appeared only briefly. It's just the crazy. I can't make this up. It's the craziest thing, right? And so it says, somebody says, okay, the parents of Tyree Nichols sat in the courtroom beside their attorney, Ben Crump. Now, Ben Crump, if y'all haven't seen his little Netflix thing, Ben Crump, he's uniquely positioned to do something really, really wild, right? Really, really wild. Because after trying to champion so many African men killed and slain by law enforcement, he's now going against African men who were the ones that responsible for the slaying of an African man. So that's just what it comes down to. I can't make this up. All right. I'm just being real. So let's look at it for what it is. Now, you can break this down a couple different ways, but as the story continues, let's just look at all the divergent ways this story has really flipped and unfolded, right? So can we talk for a moment about all of the African people who've been killed in this country by people in authority scenarios, like by authority figures? Now, think of it like this. Okay. You have a movie like Django, where Samuel Jackson played, the Uncle Tom, house, slave. And, he was the one that bust out their plot, and the whole deal and everything went sideways, right? And so you have other movies like Harriet Tubman, where the Europeans enlisted a African man who tracks slaves. I'm telling you right now, even in my own personal case, my public defender in the case on the charge, I didn't do the crime, but my public defender he was darker skinned than I was, and he played the whole role. He's now a sitting judge in Dane County, right? But at the time, he's just a public defender, and he's supposed to be defending my constitutional right. And he knew that they were going to put false evidence in my trial, that they were going to do that only if I took it to trial. So what I'm saying is, I found out, and I have proof. I put it in my book, so go get the books on Amazon. I have proof that if they charge you with something that you didn't do, they're prepared. The European power structure and the judicial system is prepared to use false evidence in front of your jury and give it to your family to convict you. Right? So that's what it comes down to. Just being 100 with y'all. Like, so in this scenario, we have African men who are the perpetrators of this young man's death. Now, just like with that young man, Casey Goodson in Ohio, we're not hearing, I'll just say yet, but I'm pretty sure if there was anything they could put bad out there about the man, they would have. So Casey Goodson and Tyree Nichols were both slain by law enforcement officers, regardless of the color. They were both young African men who did not have criminal records. Who didn't have criminal records. Both of them. All right. So when we consider that, the narrative that Christy, who came on my show, like, you know, I asked her one time, I said, you know, what do you and your African, because she's European, what do you and your African partners discuss after something like that happens where, you know, a law enforcement officer kills an African person unarmed? And she said, and I quote, "Well, I just don't know how come they don't just do what they're told." Like, that was the reason they died. Like, that's the reason, not, you know, to a European person who, if the officers mess with them, and we've seen it on cops, thank you very much, cops. Europeans don't do what they're told when the cops stop them and pull them over. You know what I'm saying? So it's the craziest thing. Like, Europeans expect us to know that because we're not them, we better do what we're told, but that's a reason to lose your life. This is the craziness that we live in. I'm telling you right now. But this is why this show is necessary. You put these things together, and this is what you have. Just total lunacy. I call it the Narnia effect. The witch, the lion, and the wardrobe. I'm telling you, the Europeans have us so asleep as a people. They're literally doing things that shouldn't happen at all anywhere on this planet to us as a culture. And everybody, even the ones who don't like to see it happen, who aren't us, everybody just kind of turns the other cheek. We all just look the other way. We accept this. You know, we really are accepting this. You know what I'm saying? It's real. So I just want to make sure that you guys get where I'm going with this. What I'm trying to break down is, this is a situation where you can't sweep it under the rug. Just can't do it. All right. And we definitely shouldn't go like this and turn the other cheek. We should definitely make sure that we are using our minds and watching this intently. Because if we don't do that now, this is a scenario where only the people can create change. So when they say a watershed moment, I'm doing the best with my little itty bitty platform to let y'all know this is it. This is it. Europeans, just because of the color of their skin, had the authority to take an African person's life for nothing. Well, I'm not just talking about Emmett Till. That situation just got sensationalized. There were thousands of Emmett Tills, thousands, period. So that's just what it comes down to. So Tyree Nichols was murdered by an African man with authority given to him by who? The European power structure. And I've said on this program, under a different name, under Euromess, we have to stop viewing ourselves the way that they view us. So I talked about the propaganda thing, the whole thing. Excuse me, got something in my eye. I talked about the propaganda deal yesterday. You can see where my teaching is going. This is appropriate Friday, man. Y'all finna go out and kick it. Dallas is a vibe. It's turned up. Everybody's going crazy on Friday. But there are things happening, people, that we need to wake up to. We're literally just giving place. I mean, we're literally just giving place to a situation that if we keep our eyes on it, we can leverage this into our own sovereign country, recognized right here in the country, right here on this continent. B, not just governing ourselves, but getting our reparations. C, creating our own vision for ourselves and our own future as a culture on this continent and globally. This one case, we can do it. That's all I'm saying. This one case, we can make it happen. Let's look at this story. So we all watched the video. Let me play the video. Look at this. So the mother says they didn't even have the courage to look at me in my face after what they did to my son. Right? So they went in there and they weren't even able to look the mom in the face, and she sees this and she's like, oh boy. And they didn't even have the courage to look at her and at least look her in her face and face the mom whose child that they took. When they badge says to protect and serve. Right? Just the reality of it. Let me see if I can't get this on here in here. I want to see if I can't get the footage. All right. That's what we're looking for right now. Okay. Just the footage. Let's see if I can't pull that up, because I want you to see the ridiculousness of what we've allowed to happen so far until now. We're actually, we're the purveyors of our own trauma as a people. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I want you you guys to see it for what it is. All right. I'm a screen share. I just sent it to myself. But she says they didn't even have the courage to look me in my face after what they did. But they're going to see me at every court date, everyone, until we get justice for my son. All right. Nichols died 3 days after he was pulled over. The body cam shows one of the officers aggressively pulling him out of the car, forcing him to the ground and pepper spraying him. Right? Before another officer, who was later fired but not charged, used a taser on him. Okay, Nichols managed to escape but was caught by officers minutes later and mercilessly punched and kicked in the head and beaten with the baton. All right. Body cam footage, on video. So we're going to go to the screen share in a hot second. All right, I'm gonna go to the screen share, but it is what it is. Let's stop sharing that so I can go to a different vibe. Let me jump on here for a second and get it popping. All right. So so they won't look the mom in the eye. All right. Won't look the mom in the eye. And it is what it is. So go to let's go to the let's go to the footage. All right.
Traffic violation, shoved, dragged, repeatedly kicked in the face, punched, tased, pepper sprayed, and pummeled with a police baton, all.
So, I'm just saying. All right. So let's. I mean, what we're looking at is a person basically being tortured. Like if you see like those I mean back in my day it was Missing in Action, it was Rambo. If a person is being tortured, like this is they're literally, beating somebody to death is like torturing them like for information. It's like what CIA people supposed to go through, like spies go through, like if they get caught. You look at movies like Mission Impossible or whatever, like they're disavowed and they don't want, the government disavows you, whatever. If you get caught, like you'd be that good. So I'm just saying, like, if you look at it, what this woman is describing is a person basically being, like tortured to a certain extent. Like they want him to feel all this pain. If you've never been tased or punched in your face, like you don't know how your body responds to it. Okay. If you've ever been pepper sprayed, you don't know the kind of gagging and gasping for air, can't breathe. If you haven't been through these things, then you don't know how, them doing all of this stuff over a certain amount of time is torture. It's torture. But what I want you all to understand is that this is what every African person has gone through, innocently has gone through at the hands of European power structure given authority. This is what they do. Listen to the lady break it down for y'all. Listen to her. She's breaking it down for y'all. This is what they all have done to us since the beginning of time. When slavery was slavery, and they could do it because we were considered chattel. When slavery was over, but they was terrorizing everybody, that was this color. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what it looked like every time. Tyree Nichols' case is giving the whole world a look at what Europeans think of African people's lives, how little they matter. These African men have been around these Europeans in uniforms and see what's going on. And by the time this man would start sleeping with this man's wife, it didn't matter. They looked at the history of how this country and really the world looks at one African life. Listen to her. Every Emmett Till started like this. Every African person that was killed just for fun, picnics, barbecues, all this stuff that the European power structure has always put on African people. We're hearing this lady describe it right now. Ironically, she's European. And she sounds like she was concerned.
Words strong enough to describe the horrific video showing Tyree Nichols beaten by Memphis police officers. The 29-year-old, unarmed, supposedly stopped for a traffic violation, shoved, dragged, kicked in the face, punched, tased, pepper sprayed, and pummeled with a police baton, all while crying out for his mother.
I mean, a watershed moment, y'all. This is historic. You know what I'm saying? And you can see and hear the pain this man is in. Like there's a lot of abuse that happens in this country, right? A lot of it. Not all of nowhere near all of it is televised. But can you imagine now? You think about the black, quote unquote, Black Wall Street. You know, I don't like using that word, but the quote unquote Black Wall Street. You see now what propaganda does? So everybody has their different opinions about what Black Lives Matter stands for. But I mean, all the marching and all the t-shirts made and Tyree Nichols is proof that we as a culture, we need to come up with a more robust plan to address the hatred and the violence against us by the European power structure. I mean, it's so pervasive that not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 African men with badges took the life of an African man. And I'm talking about for something as simple as, him being player enough to, pull, one of their shorties. It's just, it's beyond belief. But what I will say, before we move forward, what I will say is, if we look now at what they're saying now, so now you see them, they did all that, but they're all pleading not guilty. Okay. Let me go on down here a little bit further so y'all can check it out. Now look. John Perry, the attorney for Tadarius Bean, said that his strategy is to rely on convincing a jury that not all 5 officers shared equal culpability. I had to be quiet for a second to let that sink in. Right? I mean, back in the day, parents used to be like, I'm gonna beat you till my arm get tired. That's what they really actually did. I mean, maybe none of them were like in great shape, so it might not have been a marathon to them, but I mean, to that man going through all that punishment, it definitely was. And at the end of the day, I mean, it was, and there was no one actually showed video footage of any one of them clearly being like, that's enough, back it up. Stop. Okay, enough. We don't see that. Are they keeping it from us? I don't think so. Because if one of those officers had him, he would have been a hero. It would have been the same as one of those officers getting up off of George Floyd's body and pushing Chauvin off of his neck. So why does John Perry think he can convince a jury that not all 5 of them shared equal culpability? Just think about what I'm saying. You look at the involvement of each individual defendant, and in that particular case, he was doing his job, no more, no less. He never struck anybody. He never did anything other than his job. So, yeah, that's what he's actually saying. He was doing his job. Well, let's put that to the test, shall we? Hey, Siri. Does a police officer's official duty include preserving life?
Okay, I found this on the web for does a police officer's official duty include preserving life? Check it out.
Well, okay. Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. Yes, I will share this for you guys so you guys can see it and read it too. I'm Taibu Muad'Dib reporting from Arlington, Texas. This is Live Your Truth. All right. I want you guys to get it straight. Get it right and get it real. And for those of you that watch this later on down the line, I'm cool with that. But I don't want you guys to be delusioned about what I'm saying here. Okay. You know, 97% of all state cases, no, 94% end in plea bargains, 97% at the federal level. So pretty much every case, every time you see a person get arrested in real life, they're going to plead out to something and go straight to jail or prison, you know. So let me look at this. Let me look at this. All right. All right. Let me look at this. Okay. Let me screen share this for you guys. Appreciate y'all for joining. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Let's go. We're going to get this out there. All right. Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice. So what is this? What's this guy talking about over here, right? What's he talking about? He says you look at the involvement of each individual, and that in that particular case, he was doing his job, no more, no less. He never struck anybody. He never did anything other than his job. Blake Ballin, a lawyer for Desmond Mills, pleaded with the public not to rush to judgment. Let's not forget that my client is a black man in a courtroom in America. I will work tirelessly to make sure the system does not fail Mr. Mills and that a fair outcome is achieved. Back to the code of ethics. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all and will behave in a manner that does not bring discredit to me or my agency. I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule. Develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed, both in my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the law and regulations of my department. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature that is confided to me in my official capacity will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, political beliefs, aspirations, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as public trust. So, man, what's this guy talking about? So the Citizens Justice League is our answer. I'm gonna go ahead and type in here where you can go to find me at the official Muad'Dib Global page. 10,000 applications requested and submitted, and I'll apply for sovereignty from the United Nations, and we'll have our own. All right, we can get this done, y'all. We definitely need our own. We have to establish our own because, you know, Europeans and the European power structure, they've always had the power to stop this and they just refuse to. And now we are taking to their thought process about our own. Somebody somewhere is saying, Taibu Muad'Dib, what if it was a European man? Would you feel the same way? No, definitely not. What are you saying? The chicken's coming home to roost? No, definitely not. I wouldn't feel the same way about it because I can't feel the same way about it. Same as you guys can't feel the same way about us. Any questions? Now, I would still quote these same principles. I would. And I would still, as I am right now, reaching out to Europeans who are not asleep, who are woke like I am, and who are fighting for us to be just, to have justice and be free, like I am right to this day. I would still appeal to them. And hopefully, if these African officers had have done this to a European community member of mine or of yours, that would be the same wake-up call that this is. That there is no real true justice in this country. And there has never been since the Europeans landed. We have to establish it on our own. The Europeans that established any kind of judicial system or power, it was just about money, never about the citizenship. Can we have a great citizenry and still have money and still police this thing properly? Yes, we can. Do we need to have a 1%? No, we don't. No, we don't. The proof of that is that millions of people are becoming millionaires every year. Millions of people are becoming millions every year because of the invent and the way money is transacted online now because of the internet. There's enough people on the internet to literally almost make everybody wealthy. Everybody has their own platform like I do. 4 or 5 years from now, easy, I'll be a millionaire easily because of the platform itself, right? Because of the views, the sponsors, because of the ads. And because there's enough people that want to hear my content. Billions of people. All I need is like 17,000 out of billions of people. That's a very small number. 17,000 consistent views, not even the same people, every year make me a millionaire. Do the numbers, do the math. It's not a hard thing to do anymore. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Let me go ahead and put this in here. Go to the contact us page. Request an application, membership to the Citizens Justice League. Send you the application. All right. Fill it out, return it. 10,000 applications, and I'll apply. Y'all can keep sending them in after the first 10,000. Once we reach 10,000, I'll apply for sovereignty, and we will begin to build our own sovereign country, sovereign land right here. They can't deny us, because we're free people, right? So it's time for us to do our own thing. Taibu Muad'Dib, man, hashtag African Messiah, sexiest man in Dallas. You already know what it is. Super sexy. Got nothing but love for y'all, man. That's the show. Stay tuned for next week. Another awesome week of podcasting. I want to build you guys up and get you guys going. Go to the official Muad'Dib Global website. Submit your application for membership to the Citizens Justice League so we can finally do our own thing. Keep your eyes open, man. Unity of thought, unity of purpose. The leadership is here. We will have our own. It's time. Let's do it. That's the show.